Hey everyone, welcome back for another video here on my YouTube channel. This is Cassie. Today we're using the Brutus Monroe Prehistoric Party. It's the April 2021 kit, and it is still available, so I'll have it linked down below. So I do want to show you that I went ahead and stamped out all the images I thought I would need using some Brutus Monroe Raven Detail ink. And then I went ahead and colored these with my Arteza Expert colored pencils, and I love how that looks. That's so fun. It's fun to switch up your mediums from time to time. And now I'm pulling out the matching dies. Yes, this kit has the matching dies. So if you like this stamp set even a little bit, then your best bet is to just go ahead and buy that kit while it's still available, because I cannot believe the price that it involves, or it includes, not only your stamp set, but your dies and then all the extras that come in the kit. And we're going to use all that we can. All right, so I'm running that through my little die cutting machine after I got everything lined up and then tacked down with a little bit of washi tape. And then we'll go ahead and get started with our first card. But yeah, I went and I stamped all the images. So here is one of the foilables. I'm not going to foil it. So I do want to show you that even though I am heavy into the foiling during this video, you don't have to foil them. You can, use what you have. I wanted this to look like a silhouette background with, if a volcano actually had just gone off, because we're going to use that volcano image. So I'm going to do some ink blending. I started off with the color Game Over. That is a Simon Hurley Create ink. And then I brought in Bee Sting. My next color that I'm going to bring in is that Traffic Cone. So I will switch up my blending tool for the orange, and then I'll blend that on top, and it just looks so pretty. So you could do some really cool blending on these foilable backgrounds. So like I said, if you don't foil or you don't have a foiling machine, don't be intimidated. These panels are fantastic just on their own. But I will show you some foiling just because, I love foiling. All right, but check out that background. Isn't that cool? I'm going to pull in one of the layering cardstocks. So I'm going to trim this panel down just a little bit, about 1/8 of an inch on that left-hand side and on the bottom. And then I am going to trim this layering cardstock down to be the full front of an A2 size card, which will measure 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. That's just going to be a layer. And then we will attach that to a white card base. I decided I didn't want it to be so stark white around the image, and so I'm just bringing what's left over on my blending tool and blending a little bit of red on there. For my sentiments, I'm pulling out those sentiment strips. Love that Brutus Monroe has those, so I'm just going to pick out several, and I'm going to use them on all the cards because I love them. I am obsessed with them. I pulled out the stamp one more time, and I'm going to ink that up with some Game Over ink and then stamp that on the inside of my card. And then I'll take one of those sentiments, the You're the Best, and I will just glue that down on top of my volcano. So there's our inside. Super easy way to do something to the inside. And then we'll get our panel ready. So I'm going to attach down my foilable panel to my layering cardstock. And I say layering because it's a little bit thinner than regular cardstock. And then I am going to use some foam tape behind our image, and I'll just put a little bit around, and then I'll peel off that release paper using my Tim Holtz pick, and also just kind of peeling it off. And then we'll stick that down, and then I'll grab out 2 more sentiments. I'm not going to put those on straight, but I'll use that same liquid glue that I've been using and glue that down. And then once that's on there, we'll attach our panel down to our card base using the same liquid glue. And then once that's on there, that's going to finish off our first card. So I love how that turned out. Super happy. All right, I said I was going to do some foiling. So for card number 2, we have some Brutus Monroe purple sketch foil. And I'm going to pull out pieces of this. We're going to piece it together, but I'm also going to use my Spellbinders quick trimmer. I love this thing for making sure that I get straight cuts. I don't like to just cut it with scissors because I'm not going to end up with a straight cut, and then I feel like I will end up wasting that foil. But this makes sure that I have a straight cut, and there's little grooves in between that clear plastic where you can run the little foil cutter right through. And there's also one in there for cardstock, so another trimmer, so there's 2 in there. But this is a very great tool if you like foiling at all. So I'm just going to do that. And then, like I said, I'm going to actually not paper, but piece this stuff on there. You see I have all this like Post-it tape. I wanted to see if this would work. It does take patience. It is doable, but I hate wasting any of that foil. So I like to save it all. I have a MINC machine, so I'm putting it between my sandwich, and my sandwich consists of the clear plastic folder that came with it, and then I put 2 pieces of just copy paper, like real thin copy paper. That way it keeps everything together, and if there's any foiling on the outside, or if it transfers any of that laser ink or whatever it is, it won't transfer it onto my folder. It'll transfer it onto those copy papers. But it did work, so I'll peel that away. Check it out. All the little pieces worked just fine. I should have done a better job of sweeping, because I always forget to do that. Sweep before and after, or not after, but before. And this one, I am going to use my little Nuvo sweeper to sweep away any of the excess. So I went ahead and foiled the sentiments that I wanted, the sentiment strips. And then sometimes that foil will stick to where the letters are, and I just sweep it away. You want to use a very non-abrasive brush, and that is a very soft brush. I'm going to cut my panel into at a diagonal, so it's 2 different pieces. So I'll save that top piece for something else. And then I went ahead and trimmed down some more of that layering cardstock that came in the kit. And that will be the full front of an A2 size card as well. I'll glue down my foiled piece to the very bottom, and then I'm going to take a strip of some of that silver glitter stock that came in the kit as well, and I'm just going to glue a strip of that down to the top of that just to add a little something. And then I pulled out the pieces that I wanted to layer on the front of this card, so I'll just kind of place those, see where those look good. I'm going to glue down the little egg balloons. I love that image. It's just too cute. And so I'll glue that down, and then I put foam tape on the back of a couple of my presents, so I'll put those down. This just adds a little bit of extra dimension. And then I'm going to use a little bit of foil where those will overlap, or not where they'll overlap, but right below, so I'll put that right onto my piece. Peel off that release paper, and then put some liquid glue on the rest of the present where that's going to overlap the other presents. And then I'll stick that down. And you'll notice I have the 2 foilable sentiments. I picked the one that says happy birthday for the outside. And then I'll set that off to the side, and we'll work on our card base. So I pulled out one of the dinosaurs, and we're going to ink him up with some Crown Me Simon Hurley Create ink. It's a nice, beautiful purple, matches all this stuff really nicely. And then we're going to stamp out one of the many footprints. We're going to stamp that one. There are lots of different options for footprints in this set. So I'll just stamp that a few times, and then I'll take that leftover glitter stock that I had, and I'll glue that down to the inside along with the other sentiment that I had foiled. So yes, these sentiments are definitely foilable, and I love that. You don't have to, obviously, like I didn't on the first one, but I told you we're going to get foil heavy here. And then I'll attach down my panel to our card base like usual. And then I did pull out the sequins that came in the kit, and those come in a very beautiful purple, green, and silver. They're all the same size, but I'm going to glue down quite a few of those purples to the outside of this one. So I've got a few down, and then I'll grab a few more and glue those down. I did go a little sequin heavy, but we've got a lot of glitz going on with this card. I love it. I can see sending this one to my niece. She would be all about it. Dinosaurs and some purple. Card number 3 is going to be all about that foiling. So I pulled out some Brutus Monroe Rain Glow. And yeah, this stuff is just stunning. I just figured it didn't need any more than that. So I'm running it through my MINC machine. I don't think I mentioned that is the MINC machine. That's the Giganta one. There is a smaller one, but check it out. Yes, if that doesn't make you happy, right? Dinosaurs and rainbows. I don't know what would. So I love that. Just to make that background the star of the show, I just pulled out a few sentiments, cut those down, and now I'm just going to attach those down just using some liquid glue. You could really pop it up with some foam tape and make that really stand out, but I'm just using my T-ruler along with some liquid glue, and we're attaching down. Hello, my friend, you're the Triceratops. And that's it, man. I Love those sentiments. Yeah, you're the Triceratops. I could send that to so many of my friends and they would totally get it and laugh because they'd be like, yeah, that's Cassie. And then I'm going to put a couple of sentiments on the inside. Thanks for being a friendosaurus, your dynamite. So many beautiful dinosaur puns. It doesn't get any better. And then I'm going to take that same liquid glue and attach that down to the front of our card base. I did trim this down just a tiny bit, so I'm going to have a little bit of that white border on the left and right hand side. But this is a super easy mailer, and it is super gorgeous with that rain glow foil on that background. Love it, love it, love it. For card number 4, we are going to do a little more foiling. I told you this was going to be foil heavy, and we're going to use the Blue Waves Brutus Monroe foil this time. And wowza, check this out on that leaf background. There's so much there, and it is stunning. I do keep my negatives. I'm going to save that and do something with that later, but I just love that background. We're going to use a little bit more of the layering cardstock. I'm going to trim this down to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, full front of an A2 size card. And I did trim down my foiled panel. You could save those little pieces and use those on the inside of your card. I did cut out a circle using the circle foundation dies as well. And now we'll start assembling our card panel. So I'm going to attach that down with some liquid glue. And then I'll grab our circle and I'll attach that down as well, but I'm going to leave a little bit of that hanging off that right-hand side. I kind of like doing that. But yeah, and then I picked out my little blue dino to go with this. I thought he matched the background pretty nicely. I put down some foam tape on the back of one of the sentiment strips. And then we're going to attach that down using our T-ruler. Because I don't trust myself to put it on straight, that's for sure. And even with the T-ruler, I am not guaranteed to put it on straight. It's a nonstop party. It's a Jurassic jam. That's actually one of the sentiments that's in the stamp set also. So I'll attach down our little dino with some liquid glue, and then he's got to be checking out his cake. So I'll glue that down as well. And then I do grab out some sequins and I put those on. Normally I would suggest putting this on after you've attached your panel to your card base, but I sometimes forget to do that. It just makes it a little easier, honestly. All right, and our inside is super easy. I'm just going to attach another sentiment to the inside that says, "You're my favorite little dino," along with the little cupcake that I had stamped and colored. And then now we can attach our panel to our card base for card number 4. And I love how that one turned out. Check out that foiling. I know I'm obsessed, but wow, just wow. Love it, love it. And then our inside. So it turned out really cool. For our 5th and final card, we are going to use some of that dino dirt that came in the kit. I trimmed down that layering cardstock, and I'm actually going to make 4 of these, but I put this on pretty thick just using a palette knife because I want to really see that effect when this dries. Now, keep in mind, using this, it will take a while to dry. I suggest just doing it and walking away. This one I did hit with my heat tool a couple of times, and as you can see, it does do a little bit. There's still a milkiness there, but the heat tool isn't going to completely dry it, and you really don't want to use the heat tool too much on this stuff because it will bubble. So I'm just going to go with it. This is dry enough to actually play with, obviously not dry enough to send through the mail, but just keep in mind if you're using this, it's going to take some time to dry. I'm going to take my fake plant ink pad and stick that right on those edges. I feel like that background just needs a little bit more. And if I remember correctly, this panel was trimmed down to, might have been a little less than 4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. So it's a little bit smaller than an A2 size card. I took some of the small stamps in the stamp set and I'm going to ink that up just to really fill up that background. So this is the hats, the noisemakers, the confetti, and I think that you can really make some fun backgrounds with that. My sentiment is going to be stamped onto that layering cardstock, the black one that came in the kit. I used my magic powder bag and I'm inking it up with my Brutus Monroe embossing ink, and then I'm stamping it out 4 times because, like I said, I had 4 cards. And then I'm going to cover that with that alabaster embossing powder, which is a beautiful fine detail white embossing powder. And then I'll hit that with my heat tool. I'm sorry about the light that's shining through. It's in that time of the day where the light's really coming through, so we're dealing with that right now. And then I'm going to not run this through, but I'm going to trim that down on my guillotine trimmer. Put some foam tape on the back of my sentiment, and then just line that up on my glass mat. And then I will have a little bit hanging off the edge, but that's okay. I'll just trim that off. And then I'll peel off the foam tape on my dinosaur and stick him down as well. And then attach him to the front of my card base. And then I have 3 silver sequins that we're going to use. And then we're going to go old school here and just attach those to the upper right hand corner in a line. So I used my glue, and then I'll stick those down. And then once we're done with that, that's going to finish off card number 5. I love how that one turned out. That dino dirt is awesome. Just takes a little time to dry. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at all 5 cards that I made today. If you had a favorite, go ahead and list that down in the comment section. I love knowing which ones you guys like. It just helps me for the future, and yeah, I don't know. I like that part. So put that down in the comment section. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.